Introduce here Donna. Come on out, Donna, who came to join us all the way from San Francisco. She's a director of product for Airbnb. She just joined us 2 months ago, but she has been a super host for much longer.
Hi. My name is Donna Boyer, and I am the director of Host and Home. So I am the first product director to focus exclusively on the host experience. And I'm excited to share some updates as they relate to hosts today, and also get your input and ask questions. Before I start, I just wanted to say thank you to Simon for that presentation. I think it reflects so much of what Airbnb is about and the Airbnb spirit. Beyond that, it really reflects my experience here today. It's my first time in Ireland. I flew in yesterday and woke up early this morning thanks to some jet lag, and wandered around in the rain. And wandering around in the rain in itself was fabulous for me. I'm from California, and rain there doesn't happen very often, and it's a problem. And I kept thinking, if I could just take some of this with me. But just some. Beyond that, though, I was really at 8 o'clock in the morning in the rain, really struck by the friendliness of people I encountered. And I encountered people, waiting for the crosswalk, or waiting for my coffee, or helping me in the shop. And it was just remarkable. When I moved to California, that was a big change. I used to live in New York, and the first time my younger sister came out to visit me, she was very concerned by strangers saying hi to her on the street. That doesn't happen in New York. The hospitality this morning from everyone I encountered took that up several notches. And so thank you for having me, and thank you for having me feel so welcome here. I'm really happy to be here. So what we're gonna do today, we have a brief period of time just to talk about how the Live There campaign manifests itself in our products and what that means for hosts. We have about half an hour total, and I want to run through some updates as well as leave time for questions. Alan Mask, who is my partner from San Francisco, is here as well in product marketing. And following this, we'll have a session, I think, back here, where you can feel free to ask any other questions you have about what we present today, as well as anything else that's on your mind. Okay, this works, and it does. As Sarah says, I've been here for 2 months, which means that I might not be able to answer all those questions, but I am excited to hear them. I've been a superhost long before I joined Airbnb. I've been a host and a superhost in San Francisco. And really what that means is my journey as a host is probably similar to many of yours. I started because we had some unexpected expenses as a family, and it was a good way to make extra money. And I'm a host now. Both for that reason continues, but really more than that, it has become a way of life and a way of being for myself and for my family. I have 2 boys. They have learned how to change sheets and clean toilets, and the space is where they usually play video games, so that doesn't happen quite as much anymore, which is also good. But it really has, for all of us, just raised our level of hospitality. And it changes you, welcoming people from around the world, or coming home from a long day at work and quickly making a bed and buying flowers so you can welcome someone arriving from Japan, just, I think, makes you a better person, and I'm really happy to share in that with all of you. The other part is that I also understand some of the frustrations with hosting, some of the things that we wish we could do a little bit differently, or why isn't this a little bit easier, or did anyone think of this? And my job is to change those things, and so it's also my job to hear from all of you. Before I was a superhost, long before I was a superhost, and long before I joined Airbnb, I've been leading product teams for the past 20 years. And what leading product teams really means, quite simply, is I get to be out there understanding what my customers need, and not just what they say they need, but getting to the reason behind the need. And then I get to work with a bunch of engineers and a bunch of designers and turn that magically into product, right? And I've been doing it for a really long time. It's really fun for me still every day. I can't imagine having a different job. I think the biggest lesson over that time is, well, twofold. One is it's very, very easy to think that your experience or the experience in the city you live in and the people you talk to, on the bus about your product are a reflection of, everyone, right? And so it's really important to me to understand the experience from a global perspective and from your perspective, and it's why it was really a priority for me to be out here and to connect with you. The other part of it is making products about things that you love really is the thing that allows you to make great products. So being passionately connected to what you do is important to deliver great products, and Airbnb certainly checks that box for me. This is my listing. Is it? This is my listing. This is my house. The video games are in that back cabinet, locked up. I'm showing this for two reasons. One is I think it's good to share your home with people, and I would invite any of you, if you come to San Francisco, to come stay with me. The second is that I really want one of those hosting is sexy t-shirts. And I've been told back in San Francisco that the right person needs to know that you are a host, right? And I'm hoping that the right person is in this room, because I really want to leave with one of those t-shirts. Before we go further, one of the questions that people ask me all the time, the most common question is, what is it like to be on the inside, where the sausage is made? What is that like? This is a poster from the office right near where I sit when I sit, and I wanted to share it. Perhaps the biggest surprise to me and the biggest inspiration to me in joining Airbnb as an employee is the commitment and the connection that everybody has to our community as a whole. We are forging new ground, doing new things, and we will, as we do this together, take some missteps and course correct along the way. But as companies get bigger, and this is something I've definitely seen firsthand many times over those past 20 years, is it's very, very easy to become disconnected to the mission. And that is just not the case at Airbnb. Every conversation, this is way beyond a poster. This is a way of life there. It is embodied in everything we do. And I'm really glad to be partners with you in doing it together. Okay, so getting to the meat of this. What does don't go there, live there mean in our product? How do we turn that from being not just an amazing set of ads and posters and videos and taglines, but also how do we make that easier for all of us to extend that belief to our hosting experience? And so we'll spend a little bit of time talking about some of the features that we have rolled out, our testing, and our on the boards, things that we want to get your feedback on. The very first thing is that we've integrated those films into our product experience. One of the things that we found is that it has so much inspiration for people just as they're starting their search on Airbnb that it provides a level of expectation and also of the reality that this is a different experience than a hotel. One of the things that we've heard over and over again from hosts is it's just so important to set that expectation, that this is our home, that it's not a hotel, it's a very different experience. And I do think that setting and framing that through everything we do from the very bit of the experience helps with that. But way deeper than that, what live there really means is that it's about the intersection of neighborhoods, hosts, and their homes together. It's about all of us as hosts opening up our doors and helping people understand the local experience. And Simon, your comments just resonated so well. In San Francisco, I have guests showing up, and every single one of them wants to go to Alcatraz, every one of them wants to see the Golden Gate Bridge, and they want to see Lombard Street, which is this really crooked street that I don't even understand what's interesting about it, but people will wait 3 hours to walk down this street. And so reframing that discussion and connecting people to the real San Francisco is really what it's about. More than that, though, it's also about making sure that we are matching guests with the right hosts and the right homes so they have the local and authentic experience that they're looking for that suits them. So let's talk about that just a bit. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to take a trip to Austin, which is a city in Texas. It's one of the cities that doesn't have as much diamonds dripping from it. It's a very big music, very high-tech city. Big folk music, indie music scene there. I've been there a couple of times, but I don't know it well. So one of the first things that you'll see in the new experience is that we're asking for preferences up front. Everything from, do you have pets? Is your place child-friendly? Is it infant-friendly? We really wanted to move some of those questions, the things that we answer over and over again in the request-to-book flow, like, can I smoke? No, you can't smoke. Like, we've been through this. Up front, so that people are setting their preferences and they're only shown listings that match those preferences. And the set of questions that we have right now really come from what we've heard from hosts globally as being the most important. It's a relatively small set. It's child-friendly, infant-friendliness, whether or not it's suitable for pets, smoking, and parties. Right? But beyond that, you can add your own. And by being able to control these up front, and for guests to be able to only be shown the properties that match their preferences, and then be reminded at the end that these are the house rules, are a way of making sure that those matches are better, and also making sure that it makes it easier on the hosting side to not be dealing with the unexpected party, the unexpected smoker in there. The other area that ties a little bit more to the local feel of it is we're asking people up front, and we're testing this right now, what kind of neighborhood they're looking for. One of the things that we found is that the location where people stay matters a lot to their overall experience. And sometimes it's just hard to understand, if you're not familiar with the city, if that neighborhood is the right fit for the experience that you're looking for. And the question that I've been asked over and over again is, how do we get those preferences? So we're trying a couple of different things, and this is an area that I definitely want to dive in a little bit more deeply with everyone here on. What we're doing first is we are asking guests, previous guests, in the review flow, how would they categorize and how would they classify the neighborhood? We feel like when you look at guidebooks, if you look at sort of traditional means, it doesn't really capture the spirit of the neighborhood, so we're relying on guests to provide their sense of the neighborhood and expanding it from a listing to how would to classifying the neighborhood as a whole. We are also looking to expand this with host input on how would hosts describe their neighborhood, so that we're really getting a more authentic and a more genuine and more detailed feeling of what that means, so that when guests are coming to experience a city that they haven't come to experience before, they have a way of understanding, hey, what's the right, who am I, what's the right feel for the trip that I want, and how can I have that experience in a local neighborhood without leaving that neighborhood or be grounded in that neighborhood, so the place I go around the corner is a place that suits me well. I'm just going to get a show of hands. Does anyone, we're testing this app right now, so it's not rolled out to everyone, so I just want to get a sense of people who have seen this live in their apps right now. What do you think? It's working for you? Okay. Great. Yeah, I'm excited to roll it out. Our early feedback has been really good, and so excited to get that rolled out further. So really what this means is really about going from more searching to matching overall. One of the things that's hard today is when you come to find a place, if you don't know what you're looking for, there's a lot of in and out. Like you're on TripAdvisor, or you're Googling and you're looking at best neighborhoods and you're trying to find the right things to do. And it's really hard to figure that out for a place that you haven't been. So we're really looking to make that experience much, much easier for our guests, and in turn, better for our hosts, so that guests automatically are shown the listings that are right for them, and that hosts are getting requests from guests who are a right fit with their rules and a right fit for the expectations of their listing. So let's talk about a little bit more about what that looks like in the experience, that matching experience. So drilling a little bit further down my Austin trip, I'm now shown popular homes, and in some locales, also neighborhoods that are the right fits for me. If there are enough places in a given neighborhood that meet those characteristics, those will surface. We don't have that yet in Ireland. That will be coming soon, though. So let's say downtown's the right fit for me. I actually have no idea. I just took these screenshots. But this one sounds good, right? I've got a couple of listings that meet my preferences. Absolutely immaculate sounds great. Who doesn't like absolutely immaculate, right? So I look at that a little bit more deeply. In addition to being shown the listing, one of the things that I'm now being seen up front is really, really easy access to my house rules, as well as really easy access to the guidebook. How many people are using guidebooks today? Okay. So the guidebook functionality, what we're moving to is a much, much more integrated experience with guidebooks. After someone books your listing, if you have a guidebook set up, when they come back, as they're anticipating their trip, we're putting those guidebooks front and center if you have one set up. I would encourage everyone to do more with guidebooks. They're a little bit clunky today. We're making them much easier and much better integrated for exactly the reasons that Simon said. You know, we really want people to experience your local neighborhood and your local community, and it's a really good way to set yourself apart as a host. One of the things that I get questions a lot is like, what kind of things should I put in my guidebook? Everything. Right, the things like the bookstore down the street, the best place to buy laundry detergent. You know, the places that you go in your regular life are the things that get the best feedback for guidebooks. It's not just the parks or the tourist attractions, but all the things that really help people live like a local. Those are the things that really set you apart as a host, is providing good experience. And it's amazing to me the simple things that make that happen. Like, where can I get a good loaf of bread? Is a question in San Francisco that comes up all the time. And there's some very famous, very touristy bread places in San Francisco. That's not where you get a good loaf of bread, right? Not at all. There are really good loaves of bread, 45 steps away from my house. And it's those type of things that really make a big difference. Guidebooks are going to be a big part of what we're doing going forward. They're a great way to draw people to your listings, and they're a great way of helping with that experience. And so we're going to be doing more with that. It's an area that I would love for you to do more with if you aren't using them. I would try them out. Send me feedback. I'll make sure that you have a way to do that before we leave, because it's a really important area for us. So I'm running actually a little bit over time, so I just want to make sure that we end this on just making sure that we're repeating that what this is all about is that intersection. It's hosts that are so central to this, and your listings and where you live. Bringing those together is what makes Live There come to life. And so we are really focused on how do we do that reflected in the product to make what you're already doing that much easier. So we have about 10 minutes to turn this over for questions. You can feel free to really ask me anything. There's a handy dandy way of a microphone here, so I'll make sure that I can hear you. There's a question.
Hello?
Up there. Good.
So this is called a catch box, but I call it the throwy, catchy, microphone-y thingy. So if someone has a question, I'm going to, this guy first.
Hi. Will you migrate the information from the existing guidebooks?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you already have a guidebook, they are automatically showing up in the new guidebook feature. So we're pulling all that information over easily to make it as easy as possible to do.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, there it is. Will the information on the guidebooks be private to your potential clients and your customers, or is it for everybody to see?
So we are changing the guidebooks. I should have mentioned that, and I'm glad that you brought it up. What we are doing with guidebooks, I can actually show you, if I can figure this out, I can give you an example of this, I think, actually. We are doing both. So if it is your listing in this, that might just be way beyond me. If it is your listing, your guidebook is private to your host, so they can drill in. But what we are doing is aggregating suggestions, common suggestions, so that when people are looking at things to do in a city at a top level, they can see how many hosts have recommended something. So we are providing really, if you kind of, the word crowdsourcing gets overused a lot, but we are taking the best of the best and providing citywide recommendations for things that rise to the top. In San Francisco, one of those is Tartine Bakery. Everyone who lives in my neighborhood will send people to Tartine Bakery for the loaf of bread. So Tartine will show up in a recommendation for people looking for a listing near where I live. It's one of the things that happens to be in my neighborhood. It actually happens to be in pretty much everyone's guidebook in my neighborhood. So for popular things, we're aggregating, but when someone has chosen your listing, they see specific recommendations to you. You just throw it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, with the smoking one, would it be possible to have it broken into two, where you have smoking allowed in the garden? Something like that, because I would hate to kind of not allow smokers to come just because I don't allow it in the house, but I have access to the garden, and so if there was a way of somehow indicating that, because I think smokers
I think
don't mind.
that's a great suggestion. We don't do that today. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's something that I think we should add, right? It would be, it's an easy thing to do, and something that it comes up as smoking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I think that's a very good, no smoking indoors or outdoors is a great way of doing that.
Great, thank you.
This is a great example of having a local bias. So in San Francisco, almost nobody smokes. It's very hard to find a smoker in San Francisco. And even just walking down the street at 8 o'clock in the morning, people smoke here, right? It's just notable. And so, yeah, that's a good example of, and a good example of me having a local bias, looking at that, never even thought about it. So, even in the land of the free. Yeah. Not in San Francisco.
And they go, oh no, we can't. I say, what country are you living in?
So,
it's not a prison. It's not a hotel.
yeah, smoking, it just doesn't happen. It started with, I can't even remember, maybe 10 years ago in San Francisco, there was a big thing because banned smoking in bars. And that was the first place. I guess restaurants started, and then bars. And now you can't smoke within a radius of a lot of buildings. So people just don't smoke. So yeah, that's a great recommendation.
Sorry, we've got it here.
Okay.
Hi, Aidan. One
Hi.
small question. If you create a guidebook for one listing, if you have multiple rooms, so you create it for one room, can you copy that then to the other rooms in the house?
Not easily. So the question was, can you actually keep if you've got multiple listings in the same house? Not easily. However, one thing that I would like very much for us to move to, and something that we're starting to work on, is nesting those listings, so that if you have multiple listings in the same house, they can be a unified listing, which will solve the guidebook problem, but also solve some bigger problems that that many of you have today about coordinating those, whether it's coordinating guidebooks or making that more efficient or integrating calendars. I think nested listings where they can all be unified in a home is the bigger way to solve that problem for you.
Hi, my name is
how'd you
Dee.
get up there?
And I'm speaking because I have a 50% hearing loss. So when you pass this and you don't use it, I can't hear you. So I would just appreciate if everybody would use it and remember that a lot of people have hearing loss and they don't know it. Okay, thank you.
I'll do a better job repeating the questions as well.
I just wanted to go back to the point you made about how the platform is moving from searching to matching, which I think is a good idea. But one of my favorite things about Airbnb is that you didn't always know what you were going to find, that sometimes you'd find a wild card or you'd find a diamond in the rough. Will there still be something like that in the way that properties are presented to you?
Yeah. So the question was really, are we gonna overmatch? Are we still gonna allow for discovery and for the diamonds, the rough, or something that you didn't? Absolutely. Way back when, my background actually originally started in personalization. I ran personalization at Yahoo, and one of the big factors with personalization is not to over-personalize. Losing that sense of discovery loses what the heart of Airbnb is about. And it's why what we're doing is starting with rules like smoking or very, very broad strokes around things like neighborhood types, because Airbnb is all about discovery. And so that's something that I'm very mindful of, and making sure that we are continuing to surface not just what you asked for, but what might be a good fit for you more implicitly. Particularly for travel and exploration, that's really important, because if you are coming to a place where it's unfamiliar to you, there's verbiage in the personalization space called the popularity problem. Like, things that people have heard of before or things that they think they're searching for will always rise to the top. And so very, very conscious about not over-indexing on things that people are searching for. Search is a very directed experience. If I'm on Google and I'm looking for information about how to make chicken, right? I really don't want discovery, right? It's not the time to be talking about lobster. But if I'm looking for neighborhoods, if I'm looking for neighborhoods, having a bit of a broader expanse around the type and the qualifications of that is important for us. Okay, last question.
Location. We live in a very rural location, i.e. peace and quiet. It's on your list of options. Rural doesn't come up, so I can't tick any of those boxes.
The actual rural or peace and quiet?
Well, peace and quiet, but peace and quiet doesn't
mean rural to you.
Rural is away from public transport, away from shops, etc.
So one of the things that we are continuing to do is expand that list. Right now, some of those options to check are, they come from data. We have a big data science team who is bringing in more and more attributes. And so capturing things like rural, things like noisy, right? Street noise, the opposite of that, are things that are coming up more and more as expanding that list. And so that is absolutely what we're looking for, is to make sure that we started with the set that come up often, but it is very much on our mind that we need to expand those and expand them rapidly. And so that we're also not just presenting people with 300 different attributes, but we're showing the ones that are most likely to apply. So in your example, your address would probably indicate that rural is a good attribute, or no? No, okay. So those are things that we have to be really careful of to make sure that we're not, again, over-indexing or leaving things out. And I have a team of 12 rocket science data scientists on my team who are helping deal with exactly those issues. Okay, so I think we are officially, one more? Okay, one more, but it's not the last chance to ask questions, because I will be hanging out back here the rest of the day and excited to do so. My only problem with that is that I am going to miss out on breakout sessions where I can pick up on hosting tips, right? So you're going to have to share your hosting tips with me while I'm hanging out answering questions. And I'll do it for as long today as you need me to.
One last question. So one of the questions that we get asked an awful lot is, how do I get from the airport to your listing? So as soon as somebody books and your address comes up, it would be great if there was a way of saying, well, this is how you get from the airport. Whether you fly into Dublin or Cork or Galway, a lot of people are flying in, and it automatically comes up with directions to your house and a map or visuals or something like that. Whether it's in the guidebook section or whether it's another part of the instant response that comes up once they've booked.
So the question was, could we automatically provide how to get from the airport to your listing thing? I have a question. This is actually a great survey opportunity for me. I'm going to take it. So that's something that I'm looking hard at, right? The number of times that you have to answer this same question over and over and over again, and especially if you're doing it on your phone, is hard, right? It's annoying. So question for you, definitely high on my list of things to address are message templates. Would love to get a sense of, would you prefer to have pre-scripted templates for you that you can modify? That's option one. Or to be able to write any message you want and be able to repeat it. I have my own personal bias. Again, my own personal bias doesn't really matter. Who would like option 1, just to have some pre-populated ones that you can customize? Okay. And who would like option 2, where you can craft your own message and then repeat it? Yeah. So we actually do have it. It's impossible to find. Yeah. You can use a pre-saved message. It's surprisingly hard for people. It took me until last week to know that we had that, right? And on mobile, personally, like, wait, we have what? It just was revolutionary. How many people knew we had that? Is that on phone now? It is now. Yeah, it's rolling out on phone now. So yeah, it's on web right now. We're rolling out on, I think it's available on Android right now, and it will be rolling out on iPhone just for basics. But one of the things we're looking at is just the pre-scripted ones. And I'm just, like, I think we actually get 95% of the way there if you could know that we have what you already have and make it a little bit easier. I'm getting cut off.
Sorry, I'm the meanie. But the good news is we have both Donna's attention and also Alan, her colleague, are going to be hanging out back here in the kitchen for the rest of the day. But I just want to give you a T-shirt as the person who flew the furthest to talk to. She flew all the way from San Francisco to talk to you guys for 25 minutes, so I think that's pretty cool. Thank you. I said you weren't going to see me again. I was clearly lying. I'm going to introduce one last person. First, I want to thank all the managers who not only, very, very senior Airbnb staff, who not only gave their time and attention, but also resources of their team. I don't have a slide to say this. I'm just talking while I get to the right place. So to Aisling, head of site, to James, UK and Ireland country manager, to Vicky. These are unrelated to what I'm saying, so just look away. To each of you who took time to work on slides for this community today, and who also gave of your teams and their time and their attention. Thank you very much for supporting today.
Super, thanks, Sarah. Hello, everybody. My name is Vicky Stevenson. I head up our customer experience team here in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So that's pretty much the team that every time you email, phone, chat, get on social media, they're the team behind the scenes that are helping you out, hopefully in the best possible way whenever you need help and support. I am the last gig, so I promise anybody who doesn't have a cushion under your bum, I promise you I won't take long. In terms of what we were actually talking about today, one of my main things today is just to kind of give a little recap of the day. So we started off, first of all, with Aisling talking about Belong Anywhere, and hopefully kind of helping you to understand our mission there and helping you to connect with that. In terms of welcoming you here, we all welcome you here to this space. So it's a really special day to see you here in the warehouse and filling it. It is very new for us, so we're not used to seeing you enjoying it and having your lunch here and everything else. So, really special warm welcome from everybody from the Airbnb team to you here. When Aisling talked about Belong Anywhere, she was talking about the difference between living and traveling, and what was that difference. And you are all ambassadors here of Ireland, and every time you open up your doors and welcome somebody across those doors, you are enabling them to live like a local. You are, providing an opportunity for a really authentic experience in Ireland, which I think is a huge responsibility on everybody's shoulders to be able to do that. If I can just click over here. Myself, I was recently in Cladaduff in Connemara. Is there anybody from the Wild West here in the house? Beautiful part of the country. How stunning was that? In terms of what we actually did there was we talked about, let me just go into my little picture here. This is me and my kids. It did take us 4.5 hours on a bank holiday weekend to get there. There was lots of questions around how long, Mammy, are we really ever going to get there? But it was worth the wait. It was absolutely stunning, panoramic scenery, a lovely warm, cozy house where the host had put on the heating and the fires and everything else, secluded beaches, and an ability for my kids who are growing up here in Dublin, even though I'm originally from Kildare. If there's any other Lily Whites in the house? Yay, nice to meet you. You know, for an opportunity for them to adopt a few donkeys for a few days and feed them out the back door. And there's things like this that you can't do anywhere else. You know, this is what makes Ireland very special. And what you as hosts do when you're opening up your homes is you're giving, you know, an opportunity for people to experience Ireland. You are offering more affordable accommodation to families, and you are giving them and encouraging them to explore their own island and to explore beautiful places like the West and Connemara. So thank you for your work on that. If we talk about the future as well, I mean, James and Natasha told about the huge opportunity that we have ahead of us in terms of the sharing economy. And it's great now to have Share Ireland and for them to be championing Ireland as a global centre for the sharing economy. And thank you to all those SMEs, successful SMEs who came today to tell their story and share their innovation and success. And there's many other cottage industries, you know, also sprouting up, and it's great to see that continue in Ireland. There is a great opportunity, but that said, we're also at the very early stage still. Before joining Airbnb, I had the privilege of working for Google for about 9 years. And if you think about one day there was no internet and the next day there was, I see a lot of similarities as well in the sharing economy in terms of, you know, the need for mobilization, the need for us to kind of come together with initiatives like Airbnb Action to mobilize and to educate, to collect data, to put forward proposals to government so that they can actually keep up to speed with this innovation and the technology changes that are actually happening out there. So I encourage you to sign up. Sarah talked about hosting and how it's not a responsibility to be taken on lightly. We are continuing to work to create partnerships and initiatives to make it more convenient for you to be a host, to welcome more guests into your house, and to also integrate it into your life if it's not something that you're doing full time. Donna, also thank you for coming so far from San Francisco to represent and talk to us about the product itself. And also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to our breakout presenters. This is not their day job to do presentations and pull together tips and tricks. These are our own employees, their own employee hosts, and they did a huge amount of preparation and work to kind of bring this to you here today. So can we give a special shout out to our presenters? The other kind of shout-outs that I need to also do is that we have Sinead and Fiona from our citizenship team. In Airbnb, for the first time ever, we're doing a global citizenship week. So here in Dublin, our employees and hopefully as many of our hosts are very welcome to join us to go out into the community and give something back. So if you're interested in that, in particular if you're in Dublin, because they are Dublin-based initiatives and volunteer programs that we're working with, please contact them. They're going to be around for the afternoon. Is Sinead in the house? I know she's here somewhere. They're going to be on the ground floor anyway, so if you're interested, please do sign up and join us in that. We'd love to go and do some stuff together with you. Your breakout session is coming next at 3:30 to 4:30, so you do have a last-minute chance to get a hit of caffeine or a nice cup of tea if you need it, if you were the person who woke up at 5 o'clock this morning to come and join us here today. And then following that, we're going to have a little bit of a happy hour. I think we all deserve a drink after this really busy day. And we're also going to have our first Irish Host Awards. So we've got 4 different categories there. You've all been voting behind the scenes. We're going to do those announcements at 5:30 if you're wondering about when you're going to get on the road. So at 5 o'clock, we're going to have our drinks. 5:30, we're going to make the announcements. So just thank you all for making today a really special day. And you're very, very welcome. I hope you have a great evening this evening, and I hope that we do this many, many times again. Thank you.